This Shabbos is one of the rare times that we take 3 Torah scrolls out of the Holy Ark. One for the weekly portion, one for Rosh Chodesh, and one for the special pre-Passover section of HaChodesh. The opening laws of this week's Torah portion, Tazria, Leviticus chapter 12, speaks of the laws of childbirth. When a woman gives birth to a boy, she is ritually impure for 7 days, followed by a waiting period of another 33 days to become fully ritually integrated. During these 33 days, she may not enter the temple or touch any holy items. If it's a girl, the times are doubled to 14 days of impurity and 66 days of waiting. When the 33 or 66 days are up, she must bring 2 sacrificial offerings to the Kohen in the temple. The first was a sheep as a burnt offering, and the second was a young dove or a turtle dove as a sin offering. After these offerings are brought, she is fully pure and can enter the temple and touch any holy objects or foods. The reason for the burnt offering is to give thanks to God for helping her to endure through the travails of childbirth, delivering her and the newborn from labor and delivery, as it were. But our rabbis were puzzled by the sin offering. Why would a woman who gives birth to a child, fulfilling the first and most sacred biblical command of pru, to be fruitful and multiply, need to bring a sin offering? What sin is there in having children? The students of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai asked him this question, and he answered them that when a woman goes into labor, the pain is super intense. With epidural anesthesia, it can be long, intense, painful, and overly exhausting, certainly in the times of the temple, before the days of epidural anesthesia. And due to this excruciating pain, she swears never to go back to her husband and go through this process again. The pain and suffering cause her to say many things that she will later regret. But when it's all said and done and the beautiful child is born, some time passes and she wants to go back to her husband and she wants to have more children. It is for this reason that she needs to bring a sin offering, for all the infelicitous and regretful words she said while living through such excruciating pain. But other rabbis disagree with this idea. They don't feel like this warrants a sin offering. And most puzzling of all is the commentator Rashi doesn't give any explanation. As someone who wrote his commentary to address all obvious questions, this question of why a woman who gives birth needs to bring a sin offering certainly needs some explanation. Seemingly, Rashi should have commented. To answer this question, we must understand the rule in Rashi's commentary on the Torah. And that is that whenever there is an obvious question that he doesn't address, it's because the explanation can be deduced from a previous verse or explanation that he already gave. Rashi relies on the reader to have read the chapters in order. Thus, there is no need to write a comment now, for if you are paying attention, you wouldn't have a question. So we are in the Torah, from the first verse in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, through Leviticus chapter 12, does the Torah give us an answer to this particular question. The answer is found in Genesis chapter 3, verse 16, where the Torah records the original sin, the sin of eating from the tree of knowledge. There were 3 parties to that sin: the snake, Chava, Eve, and Adam. God disciplines each one of them individually. To Eve, he said, "I shall surely increase your sorrow and your pregnancy. In pain you shall bear children." The entire concept of a painful labor and delivery only exists due to the sin of eating from the tree of knowledge. Absent that sin, natural childbirth would be painless. Based on this, we now understand that every natural childbirth since Eve has an element of that original sin. In some painful way, it's a living expression of that sin and its discipline. It is for this reason that a woman must bring a sin offering after giving birth, not for her own sin in having a child, or even for the things that she said during childbirth, but for Eve's original sin that still lives on. Similar to the golden calf, it's the sin that never truly went away, and collectively all Jewish mothers, through their korban chatos, their sin offerings in the temple, elicit an additional level of atonement for it. This is a beautiful example of how every seemingly perplexing detail in Torah is really so rich and full of life, depth, and meaning. As we take out 3 Torah scrolls, we should ask ourselves, how much time have I dedicated to studying this godly scroll? Is it possible for me to increase that amount of time? Is it possible to start a new Torah subject? We live in an era of free Torah buffet. You just go online to a website like Chabad.org, and it's all there on a golden platter just a click away. Every subject for every level. It's so easy, yet for many of us it's so difficult. This difficulty is expected. It's part of the free choice we all have. We must exercise that freedom to choose the correct way, to spend our time wisely. Through this wisdom, we connect with our God, we connect with our heritage, we connect with our people. I wish you a very good Shabbos and a good Chodesh.